He was 92. Every morning, he'd rise with the sun, wrap a worn kimono around his shoulders, and step out onto the wooden porch of his tiny home in Okinawa. He didn't own a smartphone. He didn't read the news. But somehow, he was the calmest, most peaceful man I had ever met. I asked him, "Aren't you ever stressed about your health, your family, the future?" He smiled and said, "I have 8 friends who take care of me." I thought he was joking, but then he leaned in and whispered something that changed the way I see the world. These 8 things, they've kept my heart light for over 70 years. What he told me next wasn't magic. It wasn't therapy. It was a series of small ancient Japanese practices, quiet rituals, humble beliefs, ways of living that most of us in the modern world have long forgotten. And in the next few minutes, I'll share each one with you. If even one of them speaks to your heart, it could reshape your entire relationship with stress, aging, and the way you move through this noisy world. Let's begin with the first, a kind of silence so powerful it can protect your peace in the loudest of storms. 1. A 92-year-old farmer's secret to a peaceful mind. He didn't talk much, but when he did, the words felt like still water, clear, calm, and unexpectedly deep. This 92-year-old farmer, who had lived his entire life on the same patch of land in rural Japan, told me he'd never once needed therapy. Not because his life was easy. He had lived through war, famine, and loss. But because every single day, before the sun touched the horizon, he practiced something called Sejaku. It's not silence, he said. It's something deeper. It's the silence inside. In Japanese culture, Sejaku means more than the absence of noise. It's a state of deep inner tranquility, a stillness that exists even when life is not still. While the world rushes, Sejaku invites you to pause. He found it in the steam rising from his tea. In the 5 minutes he sat alone before breakfast. In the moment he stepped into his garden and took 3 deep breaths before touching the soil. It wasn't about meditating like a monk or escaping into the mountains. It was about carving out sacred stillness in the middle of ordinary life. And science backs him up. Studies have shown that even short periods of intentional silence can lower cortisol levels, reduce anxiety, and improve cognitive function, especially for older adults. But here's the truth most of us forget. Peace isn't something we stumble upon. It's something we practice. And it doesn't take an hour. It takes a moment, a choice, a breath. So what if, starting tomorrow, you gave yourself just 3 silent minutes in the morning? No phone, no to-do list, just you and your breath. You might be surprised at how loud your thoughts are at first, but keep going. Eventually, beneath the noise, you'll hear something softer. You'll hear yourself. And that, he told me, is where peace begins. Next, we'll explore the second secret, a quiet force that makes stress dissolve and every action feel meaningful. It's called ikigai, and it might already be living inside you. 2. The quiet power of purpose, why knowing your why changes everything. He didn't have a bucket list, no dreams of skydiving, no plans to climb Mount Fuji. His purpose was simple: tend the garden, feed the neighbors, smile at the sky. And yet, this quiet farmer seemed to carry a strength most of us spend decades chasing. What he had was something the Japanese call ikigai, your reason for being. Not a job, not a title, a deep, quiet why. The thread that ties your days together when everything else begins to unravel. In the West, we often hear ikigai described with colorful Venn diagrams and TED Talks. But in its purest form, ikigai doesn't have to be grand. It can be as gentle as caring for your spouse, as steady as painting a birdhouse, as sacred as being the one who always picks up the phone when your grandkids call. Purpose doesn't have to be public. It just has to be personal. And yet, too many of us drift into retirement like a boat cut loose from the dock. No routine, no rhythm, just open water and a feeling of being unnecessary. That's where anxiety creeps in. Because the mind hates a vacuum. If it doesn't have something meaningful to hold, it clutches at fear, regret, or endless distractions. But when you wake up with a reason, however small, your brain stops scanning for danger. It knows where to go. It knows why to keep going. That's the quiet power of purpose. It doesn't shout, but it holds you upright. So ask yourself gently, what gives your day meaning? Is it listening, creating, encouraging, nurturing? Start small. It may grow roots. Because the moment you name your ikigai, you stop drifting, and you start living again with direction, dignity, and deep inner calm. But to live fully, we must stop waiting for perfect conditions. That's where the next Japanese secret comes in, and it may just change the way you see your flaws forever. 3. Cracks make us beautiful, embracing the wabi-sabi within. She used to hide the photo. It was taken at her granddaughter's birthday. Balloons, cake, laughter. But all she could see were the wrinkles around her mouth, the soft sag of her arms, the gray in her hair. She whispered, "I don't look like myself anymore." But the truth is, she looked more like herself than ever before, because time had touched her. And in Japanese culture, that's not something to erase, it's something to honor. They call it wabi-sabi. It's the art of finding beauty in imperfection, of seeing the grace in aging, the poetry in wear and tear. A chipped teacup is not thrown away, it's treasured. Sometimes the cracks are even filled with gold, because that's where the story lives. Wabi-sabi teaches us this: you are not broken, you are becoming. In the West, we are taught to fix everything: wrinkles, weaknesses, emotions. But what if the things we rush to fix are the very things that make us real? A scar on your knee? Proof you've lived. Hands that shake when you hold the spoon? Proof you've loved long enough for the body to wear thin. When we stop chasing perfection, something miraculous happens. We start accepting ourselves. We stop apologizing for the way we look, or move, or grieve. We let the light in through the cracks. One elderly man told me, "The lines on my face are like rivers. They've taken me to where I am." So here's a question to sit with tonight. What if your imperfections weren't flaws, but fingerprints of your journey? Wabi-sabi doesn't ask you to be flawless. It asks you to be faithful to your story, your scars, your slow blooming. Next, we'll learn how even the most ordinary acts, like pouring tea or folding laundry, can become a sacred path to peace. It's a forgotten ritual with a quiet kind of magic. 4. The Sacred Cup: How Simple Rituals Heal a Stressed Mind. She didn't say a word, just poured the tea, slowly, carefully, as if the world might fall apart if she moved too fast. I watched her, an elderly woman in Kyoto, no rush in her bones. She set the cup down with both hands, bowed slightly, and smiled like she had just offered a gift. In that moment, something shifted in me. It wasn't about the tea, it was about presence, the kind of presence that turns an ordinary moment into something sacred. The Japanese call this chado, the way of tea. But really, it's the way of attention. Every movement in a tea ceremony is deliberate. The way the bowl is turned, the angle of the wrist, the silence between gestures. Because when you give your full attention to something simple, you remind your nervous system, I am safe, I am here, I am enough. And here's the beauty: you don't need a tea room or silk robes. You already have everything you need. Making coffee in the morning? Do it slowly. Feel the warmth of the mug, inhale the aroma, hear the drip. Folding laundry? Feel the fabric, notice the rhythm. Let your mind rest. Because mindfulness isn't about meditation pillows, it's about how you stir the soup. The sacred is not in the ritual, it's in the attention you give to the moment. In a world that glorifies multitasking, returning to one task, done with care, can feel radical, even healing. Studies now confirm what ancient rituals have long known. Slowing down lowers stress, boosts memory, and increases emotional resilience. So here's your quiet invitation. Tomorrow, pick one task, just one. Do it as if it were the most important thing in the world, because maybe, in that moment, it is. But not all healing happens in kitchens or teacups. Sometimes we must step outside and let the trees teach us how to breathe again. 5. When trees listen. The healing science of Shinrin-yoku. He didn't want to talk. He had just lost his wife of 47 years. The house was too quiet, the air too heavy. So every morning he walked. Not fast, not far. Just through the trees at the edge of the park. At first, it was just something to do. Somewhere to go that wasn't filled with her things. But over time, the grief softened. The breeze felt like her hand. The rustling leaves like her whisper. And the silence no longer felt empty. This is the gift of Shinrin-yoku, forest bathing. It's not hiking. It's not exercise. It's the simple, mindful act of being in nature. Letting the forest, its sounds, smells, colors, wash over you. And you don't need a forest, a quiet path, a garden, a tree outside your window. Even 5 minutes of conscious connection with the natural world can bring you back to center. Because nature has no opinion about your mistakes. It doesn't care about your past or your plans. It just exists, fully, peacefully, and invites you to do the same. When you slow down in nature, your heartbeat listens, your thoughts loosen, your breath remembers its rhythm. Science agrees. Studies from Japan have shown that forest bathing reduces cortisol levels, lowers blood pressure, and increases natural killer cell activity, boosting immune function, especially in older adults. But more than anything, Shinrin-yoku reminds us, you are part of something larger. You belong. So the next time life feels too loud, step outside. Don't try to solve. Just let the wind touch your skin. Let the leaves remind you. Even trees know when to be still. And in those still moments, something deeper awakens. A quiet awareness that everything, even pain, is only passing through. Let's explore that truth next. 6. The blossom that fades. Finding peace in impermanence. It only lasts for a week. The cherry blossoms explode into color, soft pinks, fragile whites, like clouds painted across branches. And just when they reach their most breathtaking beauty, they fall. In Japan, people gather beneath the trees not to mourn this, but to celebrate it. They smile under the petals, knowing the moment is fleeting. Because that's what makes it precious. This quiet awareness is called mono no aware, the gentle sadness of things that pass. It's the wisdom that everything in life, every joy, every ache, every person, every breath, is temporary. And instead of fearing this, the Japanese embrace it. They understand that the transience of life is not a tragedy, it's what gives life its depth. But here in the West, we often resist this truth. We cling to youth, to people, to the way things used to be. We say, I just want things to go back to normal. But what if normal was never meant to stay? One woman told me that after her husband passed, she kept setting his coffee cup on the table for weeks. Then one morning, she didn't. Not because she stopped loving him, but because she had learned to let the moment be what it was, and move gently forward. Impermanence doesn't mean forgetting. It means loving fully because we know we won't get this exact moment again. When you realize that nothing lasts forever, neither the pain nor the joy, you stop gripping so tightly. You start living more presently, more gratefully, and slowly, serenity takes the place of fear. So today, let the falling leaves remind you, you are allowed to change. You are allowed to grieve. You are allowed to begin again. Because the blossom fades, but the tree, it waits, patiently, for the next season. And speaking of seasons, each of us blooms in our own time. But too often we forget that. Let's explore how not comparing your path to others might be the most radical act of peace yet. 7. Stop competing, start blooming. The wisdom of Ubuyato. In early spring, the plum tree bursts into bloom. Delicate, fragrant, proud to be first. But the cherry tree stays still, its branches bare. Its time hasn't come yet. And the cherry tree doesn't panic. It doesn't say, "I'm behind." It just waits. Because it knows its moment will arrive. And when it does, it will take your breath away. This quiet truth is captured in a Japanese philosophy called ubuyato, the understanding that every flower blooms in its own season. But somewhere along the way, we forgot that. We started racing, comparing, measuring our worth by the pace or success of others. She retired at 60. He's healthier than me. They're traveling the world while I'm still here. But nature never hurries. Yet everything blooms in time. One man I met didn't learn to paint until he turned 78. He picked up a brush during the pandemic and found a world inside him he never knew existed. Now his children call him Grandpa Monet. He smiled and said, "I didn't start late. I started when I was ready." So here's a gentle reminder. You're not too late. You're right on time. Your story is unfolding exactly as it should. And the fruit you bear, wisdom, laughter, presence, may be the sweetest of all. Don't rush your blooming. Don't envy the plum. Just root deep and rise in your own way. Because when you stop measuring your life against someone else's, you finally make space to enjoy your own. But even with purpose, patience, and presence, life still brings storms. So how do we endure without losing our peace? In the final secret, we'll explore the Japanese art of bending without breaking, the quiet strength called Gaman. 8. The strength of gentle endurance. Why Gaman is the key to peace. The wind howled through the valley that winter. Trees bent under the weight of ice. Some snapped. But one tree, tall, wiry, stubborn, bent with the gusts and survived. That's when I first understood Gaman. It's often translated as patience, but it's more than that. It's the quiet, dignified endurance that allows you to carry hardship without losing your inner calm. Gaman is not weakness, it's resilience wrapped in grace. In Japanese culture, Gaman is what helps you sit in discomfort without complaint. Not because you're numb, but because you understand some storms must be endured, not escaped. I met a man in Hiroshima who lost everything in a single day: his home, his friends, his future. But he rebuilt, brick by brick, meal by meal, smile by smile. He told me, "I could not control the destruction, but I could control how I rose from it." And isn't that what aging teaches us too? Our bodies shift, loved ones go. The world grows louder, faster. But inside, there can still be stillness, a space that says, "I am not broken, I am becoming." Gaman doesn't mean we ignore pain. It means we face it, steadily, patiently, with our heads high and hearts open. It's the strength to keep walking, even with tears in your eyes. The grace to keep giving, even when life takes. The courage to whisper, "This is hard, but I'm still here." So if today feels heavy, don't rush, don't numb it, just breathe. And remember, you've survived every hard day so far. That is Gaman. That is strength. And that is peace. 8 quiet principles. 8 gentle guides. You don't need to master them all. Just choose one. Let it live in your morning. Let it shape your evening. Let it soften the way you speak to yourself. Because maybe peace isn't something we find. Maybe it's something we return to. Like a garden, like a breath, like home. So here we are. 8 ancient truths, not whispered by monks on mountaintops, but lived quietly by ordinary people every day. People who rise early, who pour tea slowly, who sit with silence, who wait for their season. Maybe you saw yourself in one of them, maybe in all of them, or maybe you're still looking. That's okay. This isn't a checklist, it's a compass. Pick just one. Practice it for a week. Not perfectly, just honestly. See how it softens the sharp edges, how it changes the way you move through your day, how it brings you back to yourself. Because this world will not slow down for us. But we can slow down within it. We can find peace, not in the absence of problems, but in the presence of purpose, patience, and presence. And if this message touched something in you, share it. Not for me, but for someone in your life who might be struggling, someone holding too much, someone who just needs a breath. Leave a comment below. Which of the 8 spoke to your heart the loudest? And if you haven't yet, subscribe. There's more coming, more calm, more stories, more reminders that you're not alone in the search for peace. Because this is just the beginning.